Mama? Can you hear me okay? Do you know how to give me a thumbs up or type something in the chat so I know that you can hear me okay? This will be a good test of your technology skills and a good test of my Facebook Live skills. Welcome everybody. Happy Afterschool Professionals Appreciation Week. I'm so grateful for you to be here. It feels like I haven't been here in a long time. It has been a couple of weeks, but thank you so much for joining. Amanda, I was so hoping you would be here. I have missed this. Believe me, this was such a joy when I started doing Facebook Lives, and it's been a couple of weeks, and I miss it. I miss it. So I'm happy to see some old faces. We might see some new ones here as well. My mom's in the room supporting. She was not in the Afterschool World, although, well, she was a classroom teacher for many, many years, I should say, but she was a Girl Scout troop leader. So does Girl Scout troop count as after school? That's a good question. But hopefully she will have some things to add, as will the rest of you, as we celebrate and take this opportunity to honor Afterschool Professionals Appreciation Week. That is quite a mouthful, and the abbreviation is not much better. It is APAW, so it doesn't flow off the tongue very well. I'll probably have 10 different versions of saying it throughout our session today, but I'm so grateful you're here. I'm so grateful to take some time together to talk about this very special opportunity to honor some really special folks, which is our after-school community. So thank you for being here. I am grateful for you. If you are not in the after school community, I'm still grateful for you. And while we will be talking about some things that are specific to the after school community, we'll be talking broadly about best practices when it comes to staff recognition and appreciation. So everybody can benefit. If you're here just to support me, I appreciate that too. Support is what we need, which is the theme of what we'll be talking about today. I need to adjust a little bit. I wish I could show you, well, I can show you the ridiculousness going on. So this is my cat, and my cat has decided to take over my Facebook Live chair. The chair is not usually here. I only pull it out when I'm doing a video, and most of the rest of the time she is not around me. She wants nothing to do with me, but she wants to sit in this chair. And I had a video call this morning, and it's the first time ever she started biting me because I was sitting in her chair. So now I have my own chair, and my cat has her chair while we're doing this Facebook Live. The things we do for our pets, right? So thank you again for joining us. I haven't been on in a couple of weeks, so I am sad about that, but I am happy for the reason. So one of the things I've been saying throughout this crazy time that we're in right now is that it's really important for us to acknowledge all of the hardship and challenges and stress and negative consequences that are coming out of the situation we're in. I don't want to brush those aside. I don't want to minimize them. I don't want to diminish the impact of everything that we are experiencing right now. We know, you may have seen that meme float around Facebook, which is we're all in the same boat, but we're sitting in a different position, something like that, which is this collective experience of going through this really unprecedented moment in time, and we're all experiencing it a little bit differently. And so I want to acknowledge that even though we keep saying it and we keep hearing it, it's important to keep acknowledging all of the challenges that are happening right now. And there is also this, in conjunction with the challenge, there's all of these wonderful things happening. And in our field, I am seeing so much creativity and resilience and resourcefulness to try and keep our programs going, to continue supporting our youth and communities. And I am so very grateful for that. And one of the results of that has been that people have been reaching out to me more than ever to do something like this with their teams. And people are really recognizing the value in setting aside time to support staffs. So I have been busy in the best possible way supporting programs all across the country. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, I'm doing this with Massachusetts. I've been working with Pennsylvania and Maryland. And it's just been such a blessing that we have this time to really dedicate to training, supporting, and coaching our teams. So that's why I haven't been here, for the best possible reasons. I know it can seem like, well, Facebook Live is only 30 minutes, but boy, the prep and the follow-up and the marketing and the everything. So it's not just 30 minutes. It's a joyful time, but it's a time-consuming time. So that's why I haven't been here. But I absolutely had to jump on today because it is Afterschool Professionals Appreciation Week. So let us appreciate our field and all of you in it. If this is the first time you're realizing it's Afterschool Professionals Appreciation Week, I got you, okay? So there's still time. That's why I didn't want to wait till the end of the week. It's Tuesday. You still have time to do something about it. So we are going to talk today about why we celebrate this, why we need to continue celebrating it, even in the crazy situation we're in, and how we can celebrate it. So as always, I welcome you to share your thoughts and ideas in the chat so other people can learn from your wisdom and experience. The last video I did for the first time, it got more views after the fact than it did live. So people are sharing the videos out, and when they are shared, people get to see your comments once the video's done. And so you have this wonderful opportunity to share your wisdom with everybody who will see this video and share your ideas with one another. So please, throughout the session, jot down your thoughts, questions, ideas, and resources and share them with everybody else. So why is it important for us to recognize Afterschool Professionals Appreciation Week? There's a lot of reasons, but I'm going to boil them down to two main ones. And the first one, of course, which we'll spend most of our time on today, is that we need to be appreciating and showing our gratitude for our staffs all the time. But it's also important to really ramp it up when special occasions and opportunities to celebrate arise, such as this week. So we'll spend most of our time today talking about how to really appreciate and show gratitude for our staffs. The other opportunity that comes up this week that I really hope you take advantage of is the opportunity to share with the greater world outside of the after-school community what we are doing, who we are, what is the impact of what we do. If you're like me, you can tend to surround yourself with people who are doing similar things and working in similar spaces, right? So sometimes when I'm really focused on my coaching, it feels like everybody I interact with is a coach. And then when I'm in my after school space, everybody I interact with is in the after school world. And so you can forget that people outside of that world tend to have very little knowledge about what is going on inside that world. We know that we are a relatively new space. certainly compared to regular classroom education. The after school world is still finding itself a little bit, but unfortunately the perception still is often that we are kind of glorified babysitters, extended daycare. We're not always viewed or treated as the professionals that we are. So this is an opportunity this week to talk about and spread outside of our regular after school circles what exactly it is that we do and why it's so important and why it's so impactful. So you, of course, can be as creative as you possibly choose. You can also go to the National Afterschool Association website. They have a whole toolkit set up for you that has pictures you can post on social media. They have language you can use to post on social media. They have hashtags. They're mostly using Heart of After School. But it's a way for you very easily to share some of the good news of the wonderful work that you are doing. So sometimes people like stories, sometimes people like numbers, use a little bit of both. But a couple numbers I'll share with you that you can share to the greater world. First and foremost, do you know how many youth in our country are involved in after school? So it might be more than you think, and it's helpful to educate other people about that. So it's actually about 10 million youth are served by after-school programs in this country. That's something worth spreading. That's something worth sharing to the greater community. So this is a great opportunity this week to start to share the wonderful impact of this field. Okay, so let's get to your staff. Oh, but before we do, let me also take a minute to say thank you to you. If you are a frontline staff, if you are a leader, you are all part of our after-school professional community. So this is certainly a time to honor our frontline staff. It's not a time to neglect our leadership, right? Everybody who works in this field is part of the after-school profession. So thank you for choosing this work. Sometimes we say the work chose us, but of all the jobs on God's green earth, we have chosen this one. And we chose it because we love it, right? We chose it, many of us, because it's a calling. But if we're being completely honest, this field and this job doesn't always love us back, right? It doesn't always love us back with money. It doesn't always love us back with prestige and respect. It doesn't always love us back with the support and development and resources that we need to do the jobs to the best of our ability. So in order to stay with this work that we love, the love isn't always enough, right? We also need support. We also need recognition. So this is a moment in time for us to take a deep breath from all the busy, from all the crazy, and really be intentional about showing our gratitude to our staffs. Our staffs need it. Our staffs deserve it. And our students need it. And our students deserve it. Because one of the things you'll always hear me say is that we joined this field to make a difference. Let's make sure that we do. Let's make sure that we're doing things that we know make a difference. And what we know to be true is that in order to run wonderfully impactful programs for our youth, we need high quality staff. And in order to have that high quality staff, we need leadership who is committed to finding, recruiting, hiring, and nurturing that staff. Okay? We need all the pieces of that puzzle to run effective programs, and we simply cannot run them without our staffs. So we need to recognize them, of course, throughout the year and in opportunities when it is a special occasion. So Gallup, which some of you who are with me for a long time, you hear me talk about Gallup all the time because Gallup does all this wonderful research about staff and how do we find them, how do we train them, how do we support them, how do we retain them. And that's something that is really vital to our success in the after-school field. And one huge study that Gallup did was on the reason people left the last job that they left. So you can imagine there were a lot of reasons, right? There's generally not just one reason why we move on for a job, but some reasons take precedence over others. So they asked a bunch of people, what was one of the main reasons you left your last position? And guess how many of them named lack of recognition? Not 100%. Almost 100%. It was 79% of people said a major reason they left their last position was lack of recognition. Yet, that blows my mind. This one blows my mind maybe even a little bit more. Yet, even knowing that, even knowing how vital it is that we show appreciation and recognition for our teams, so many people are not doing it. You want to know how many? I'm going to tell you how many. So this other study Gallup did, they asked people whether or not they had been acknowledged and appreciated within the last year. Not day, not week, not month, within the last year, how many of them have received recognition? Okay. Are you ready for this? I'm never ready for this. I've seen this data point so many times, and every time I see it, I'm not ready for it. 68% of people said they had not received recognition over an entire year. 68%. Can you imagine being one of those people working in a job, dedicating your time, blood, sweat, tears to the work you're doing and not getting recognized for an entire year? Have you been one of those people in one of those jobs? Are you currently one of those people in one of those jobs? If so, we need to talk, right? And imagine being a leader who doesn't recognize their staff for an entire year. Have you been that leader? Are you that leader? We definitely need to talk, right? So sometimes I hear pushback on this where people will say, well, I don't need a lot of recognition to do my job, or this is what I need to make me happy. Well, that's well and good for you, but you are not every person you supervise, and they are going to have different wants and needs. And if you are somebody who never needs any recognition at all, kudos to you, but you are in the very small minority of people. The way that most people operate is they need to feel appreciated and recognized for the work that they do. So if you don't need it, then don't get any. But make sure you are giving it to those you supervise because they need it and you need your staff. Okay? So the reason that this is especially important at this moment in time is that we have two main situations converging in this really complicated moment. So if you think about when we sort of go above and beyond to show appreciation and support, it's generally in two main moments in time. One is when there's something positive to celebrate, and two is when there's an extenuating circumstance that's really challenging. And so if you think about your personal life and some of the things you celebrate in your personal life, maybe you celebrate them yourself or other people celebrate them for you, or things that you celebrate from other people as well. So things like birthdays or anniversaries or getting a new job or running a 5K. Okay, when these special accomplishments or events happen, as human beings, we celebrate them, right? It's an extra opportunity to highlight and ramp up the way we show appreciation for one another. We wouldn't say, I hope we wouldn't say personally, well, I've been a good friend all year, so I don't really need to do anything special for this occasion. Ridiculous, right? But we often say that when it comes to moments like this, like, oh, it's after school professionals appreciation week. Well, I'm a good supervisor all year round. Why do I need to make an extra special effort this week? Okay. But think about it in that parallel. We wouldn't say that, hopefully, in our personal lives of, well, I'm already a good friend, so, right? I'm already a good supervisor, so. No, that's not how it works. It's a special week. It is 1 week for us to really be extra intentional about how we're supporting our staffs, okay? The second situation is when things are challenging. Okay, when challenges come up in our personal lives, or our friends and family have challenges in their lives, whether it's financial, whether it's relationship based, maybe it's health related, we ramp it up, we step it up, right? We send cards and letters and casseroles and flowers, and we let people know we're thinking about them. Well, we're in this moment in time when we have this week dedicated to celebrate in the midst of this really challenging circumstance. So we got to double ramp it up to show appreciation and give our support to our staffs who need it. So what does that look like? The good news is what you're doing during the school year is going to be fairly similar to what you can do during this week, right? You don't have to go so above and beyond. You don't have to break the bank. You don't have to do something so extravagant. You certainly can if you have the capacity and the ability to spend some money and do something real extra. I encourage you to do that. Your staffs would be thrilled. But if you don't have that capacity, you can still make this a really special week. And you can use the principles that you're already using throughout the year to support your staff to do it during this appreciation week. So keep in mind that you're honoring both your own style of leadership as well as how you know your staff and the ways that they like to be appreciated. So for you, if you are the personality that is big and loud and shout it from the rooftops, then do that. If you are the silly, wacky, zany, dress up in a costume and pop up on a video, do that. If you are a little bit more reserved and intimate and private, do it that way, right? You don't have to be someone you're not. Honor who you are and also honor who your staff is, because you're going to have staff who like big public recognition and you're going to have staff who like more intimate private recognition. So use what you already know about your staff in how you can recognize them during this time. So a couple of things to keep in mind. This is not, I hope, this is not simply an obligation for you as a leader. It's not an opportunity to check the box and say, okay, I sent an email. I said thank you to my staff. Let's move on to the next thing, right? Nobody wants that. Nobody needs that. You might as well not do anything at all if you're not going to be sincere. And I share this story a lot because I think it's very telling as leaders. I used to work in a place that was fairly small, and so we all interacted a lot throughout the day. And every morning I would come in with my Dunkin' Donuts coffee because I'm from Boston. We're obligated to drink Dunkin' Donuts. And I was in an organization where everybody else drank Starbucks. So it was like this ongoing joke. Every day they would tell me how terrible Dunkin' Donuts coffee was. Nothing I haven't heard before. I'm still staying loyal. And so it was just like this running joke. We talked about it all the time, all day long. I had this big Dunkin' Donuts cup in front of me. And when it came around to the holidays, our boss very thoughtfully, generously, thoughtfully, had given each of us a gift card, and all of us got a gift card to Starbucks. And I don't say that to sound petty and difficult. It was a gift. I acknowledged and I thanked my boss for the gift. But it really made me think that sometimes the small things are the big things, right? Knowing what kind of coffee your staff likes if you're treating for coffee, or what they're allergic to, or what they can't eat, or right? Like if you decide you want to treat your staff to lunch and you buy meatball subs for your vegetarian site coordinators, not such a great gesture, right? So there is a level here where you don't just go through the motions. Don't just send something to send something without putting some thought behind it. So a couple of things to keep in mind as you're deciding how to honor your staff this week, not if. Okay, not if. You have no choice. I'm telling you, you have no choice. You have got to do something to continue to motivate and recognize and inspire and comfort and support your staff during this time, because they need it, right? So it's not an if, it's how. How are you going to do this? So here's a couple of things to keep in mind. One, not everything needs to be a Zoom session, okay? My gosh, I have Zoomed like 4 times a day, like most of you, and it is nothing disrespectful to Zoom. Thank you, Zoom, for all you're doing, right? I have no personal issues with Zoom, but all of a sudden, everything's a Zoom or everything's a video conference call, right? Even one-on-one calls, people are asking me to Zoom, and I am politely saying, can we just talk on the phone, please, right? So Zoom is great, or whatever platform you're using, but not everything needs to be a video group call. Something to keep in mind. So, other things to keep in mind. One, make an effort to do something for each individual staff as well as for your group staff. Okay, we always want to keep that team building component. So it's really great for you to recognize your team as a whole. How you do that, again, is up to you, but have some space where you are recognizing the team as a whole and where your team members have an opportunity to shout out the team as a whole as well. You can highlight accomplishments, you can share what you appreciate about each other, you can do trinkets and something tangible if you want to give an actual gift, but you can do it as a group, some sort of acknowledgement to your entire staff, and not or, and make sure you are doing something for each individual member of your team. Now, the good news, I've given you lots of good news. So some more good news is that, again, you don't have to break the bank. You don't have to force yourself to come up with some wonderfully creative idea if you're just not feeling it. When they ask people, what is the number one way they prefer to be recognized? Do you know what the majority of people say? Praise. Verbal praise. Here she goes. I mean, this cat, I'm sorry, is verbal praise, right? So verbal can also be words that are written, or a phone call, or however, right? But you don't, it's nice to do gifts. It's nice to spring for lunch. It's nice to give people a little extra bonus money if you have the capacity to do it. But really, what makes people feel appreciated? Facebook Live, am I back? Can you still see me? Can someone give me a thumbs up? That's never happened before. There's like a big storm coming. I don't know if that is affecting it. But can everybody still see and hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can. And so if you want to do something with trinkets, by all means, but you don't need to, right? So yes, thank you. Devin, I think you're telling me that I'm back. I hope that I'm back. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So those of you in Baltimore, like, the skies are really crazy right now. So I hope you're safe and inside, as most of us are, I guess, at this point. Okay. So find a way to individually connect with every single one of your staff. So if you want to do a phone call and or an email and or something written, but do something and be specific, right? It's like when we talk with the kids, instead of just saying good job, talk to your staff and share really specifically and intentionally what it is you appreciate about them and thank them for that. The other thing to consider is private and public. So doing things internally to thank and appreciate your staff, but also how can you do it publicly, right? So respecting people's privacy, but can you shout out your accomplishments on social media, on your email list, in your newsletter, however you connect with the public? Can you talk to your local media and ask them to highlight your staff and your program and the wonderful work they're doing? How can you publicize this wonderful event so other people can also praise and appreciate your staff? The next thing to think about is if you want to do something spontaneous versus planned. So spontaneous is you might jump on a staff meeting or a regularly scheduled call, and then you start to shout out people, or you ask them to shout out somebody else. That makes it a little bit more informal, maybe a little bit more natural. But other times people like a little bit of notice so they can prepare something. So if you're doing something like team awards or team letters, you might want to let your staff know ahead of time so they can put some time and thought, particularly for the introverts of your group that don't process quite so quickly. They might appreciate a little bit of heads up when it comes to the activity that you're about to do. Also think about words versus actions. So what are you saying and what are you writing? That's the most important. But is there something you can do in the form of a gift that you can give to your staff? So a gift can be a tangible T-shirt or gift cards or money or a day off, or you can spring for lunch, or are there some things you can do, coffee mugs, whatever, right? What are some gifts, if you have the ability and budget to do that you might want to share with them? This one requires a little bit of legwork, but can be really, really powerful. If you still have some contact with your youth and families, and I really, really hope that you do, can you solicit from them some video clips, some messages, some cards, something where they can share their gratitude as well on your social media if you have it? How can you involve your youth and families to show their appreciation to your staff as well? I would be remiss if I didn't put your staff is to give them what they need and help enjoy this internet. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on. Okay, we'll start wrapping it up. I know I'm a little over time, but one of the biggest things that you can do for your team is give them the training and support and resources that they need and deserve. That makes them feel appreciated this time and always. So to recap, please make sure that you are doing something. More than one something is great too, to honor your staffs this week, to say thank you for what they're doing. Use your words, right? We say this to our kids all the time. Use your words. So use your words. Tell them. Write it. Tell other people, right? Make it public. Share all the wonderful work that your staff is doing, but be intentional and be sincere with what you're sharing. It's a little less important how you're wrapping the package. The main thing is the package, right? It's the gift. You can also think of it if you're preparing a great meal. It's nice if the presentation looks good. It's more important that it tastes good. So if you're great at presentation, then present it well. But make sure you're cooking a good meal, right? Make sure that what you're saying and what you're sharing with your staff is valuable to them. So, make sure that you're recognizing your team as a whole, as well as the individual people on your team. Do some of your recognition publicly as well as privately. You can do some in a spontaneous way and some in a planned out way. You can arrange a party, a celebration, a game, right? There's all kinds of things you can do with that. You can use words only, or you can add to your words some sort of tangible gift. Money, if you're able, is always great too. And can you involve the kids and parents difference in the recognition of your staff. And the other thing to keep in mind is this is also an opportunity to show gratitude to our staffs, but also to educate the greater community about the importance of the work that you are doing, how you need their continued support, and what impact you are having on the kids in your program and on the greater community. Whew, okay, so the storm is coming. I'm a little nervous about the connection, but I want to say thank you for being here. I have missed this, even though it is so much work. It is such joyful, grateful work. So thank you for joining me. If the connection was bad, I'm so sorry about that. I appreciate your patience and sticking with me. Thank you for the work that you're doing for this field, for our youth, for our communities. Thank you for the work you're doing with your staffs. Don't put a lot, it's sort of like a balance, right? So I'm putting pressure on you to make sure you do something, but don't put pressure on yourself that it has to be this like $1 million idea, right? The fact that you honor this week is really going to go very far with your team. So make sure that you do. How you do it is a little bit secondary. Make sure you are taking this time to honor your staffs. And if you or your staff need additional support during this time, this is what I do. This is what I love to do. Please reach out to me. You can reach out to me here. You can, I'm all over different social media. You can email me at coachkat@catherinespinney.com. I'll put that in the chat. We can set up a time to talk about how we might be able to provide your staff with what they need. So once again, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the work you're doing. Thank you. Yes, Corey's doing it on LinkedIn. Beautiful. Yes, do it wherever. It doesn't matter. They just need to see that you're doing something and that you're doing it in a sincere way. LinkedIn's a great way. Thank you, Corey. So yes, thank you. I'm just going to keep saying thank you, right? Because that's the theme of the day. So thank you for being here. Thank you for the work you're doing in the field. Thank your staffs. Okay. And if you need some support, I am happy to talk about what that might look like. I also don't want to overwhelm you, so I'm dropping this at the end and then I'm going to run away, which is, it is also Volunteer Appreciation Week. I'm not doing a session on that right now. I wanted to focus on my after school guys, but do acknowledge your volunteers too. I know it's so much, like every day it's like grilled cheese day and, wear your hair in a braid day or whatever, right? Everything's a day. I know it can be really overwhelming, but I do want to make sure you also know it's Volunteer Appreciation Week. So make sure you let them know as well. Thank you, Devin. It's good to see you as well. Such a joy. Mama, thank you for your support. To my beautiful, wonderful, amazing niece, Sylvia. My sister told me that she likes to watch these videos after the fact, and she doesn't realize it's not a video call. So she keeps talking back and forth to me, which of course I can't respond. So this is my way of doing it. Sylvia, I love you. I miss you. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Have a wonderful After School Professionals Appreciation Week. I so appreciate you. I hope you appreciate one another. Take care.